Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have another example of someone not really reading the room and thinking that what they're saying is a good thing when out sort of thinking it through and realising how awful it would actually be. This time it is Katy Loudon, the SNP candidate up in Rutherglen and Hamilton West. And she says she would welcome Nicola Sturgeon on the campaign trail, knocking on doors and handing out leaflets with her. I think she might not want that, and certainly Sturgeon most definitely wouldn't, because I think the only people who would absolutely love Sturgeon to go on the knock with Katy Loudon is everyone in Rutherglen who is not going to vote SNP. They will have a chance of collaring Nicola Sturgeon and of making very, very difficult questions apparent to her. Questions then she'll immediately walk away because she can't possibly and daren't answer them. And it would be an example of one hell of a day for Nicola Sturgeon if ever she did deign to turn up on the election trail. And so by having Katy Loudon saying it would be a great idea has now created a bit of a problem, because if Nicola Sturgeon doesn't do it, it will not be seen in a good light. It would like be saying, oh, Nicola Sturgeon doesn't want to endorse this candidate. Of course, if she does turn up, then it'll be a very, very awkward day for Nicola Sturgeon. Oh, what tangled webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. Where does Sturgeon go? Does she refuse or does she accept? Either way, she loses. Here goes. Oh dearie me, it just goes to show the sort of naivety of Katy Loudon. Anyone can see the problems caused by this invite. The fact that she can't goes to show that she is very, very inept at reading the room, reading the political situation. What on earth possessed her to say this? It's got to be a level of lack of understanding of politics that is beyond repair. I mean, it goes to show how awful she would be as an MP if she cannot read the room like this, if she cannot understand the consequences of the things she says and does. It's quite clear to anyone that that's the worst position you can put anyone in, and yet not to Katy Loudon. But anyway, Nicola Sturgeon, welcome on by-election campaign trail, says SNP candidate, soon to be ex-candidate, because once the election's over she'll be gone, she'll be disappeared, and she'll no longer raise her head in politics again, because this will be a stunning defeat. In an interview with The Record, Katy Loudon also said laid into Labour and said disgraced Margaret Ferrier had been a hard-working MP. Well, when she did work, it was hard. SNP candidate in the Crunch, Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election said Nicola Sturgeon would be very welcome on the doorsteps, and she absolutely would, just not the doorsteps of the SNP supporters, just on the doorsteps of the Labours, the Tories, the Lib Dems, anyone. They'd have her, they'd collar her, and boy would she find out what they thought of her. It would not be good. And when the press are there and snapping the pictures and the videos and things, it would be appalling for the campaign. Katy Loudon, you are a moron. Katy Loudon claimed that the former First Minister is still popular despite her arrest during a police probe into the SNP finances. Popular with whom? The 43-year-old South Lanarkshire Council also indicated that support for higher council tax on more expensive properties. Yes, tax. The SNP way, the way of the left, the way of the Marxist. Tax everybody into submission. Loudon, a former primary school teacher, is up against Labour's Michael Shanks in the Westminster contest to replace the disgraced Margaret Ferrier. I was going to say Miguel Ferrier there, but that's an old actor and we needn't mention him again. In an interview with Record's Planet Holyrood podcast, she admitted it had been a difficult few months for the SNP over Ferrier and the police investigation into party finances. Difficult is a very much an understatement. The charges haven't come yet, but there's more arrests expected, and there will be undoubtedly charges. And when they come, you'll be wondering if it's truly wise to have brought Nicola Sturgeon into it. Sturgeon, who was released without charge yet, lives close to the constituency, but has not been out campaigning yet because she doesn't want to be knocking on doors. She was asked if she would like to see Sturgeon on the doors and she would like to come along. As I say, any member who would like to come along, who's willing to give a little bit of their time, would be very welcome. She cannot avoid this. She's fallen into the trap, basically. She's fallen into a trap that you could have avoided very easily. Loudon said Sturgeon is popular with members and voters. I wouldn't suggest that she's not popular with the SNP members and voters, but even then, not all of them. But certainly not popular with everyone else, the majority who didn't vote for her. She said, I was having a conversation with someone on the doorstep the other day who was recognising the role she played in reassuring people during the pandemic, and she greatly admired that work and her commitment to tackling child poverty. Well, of course, she's caused most of it, so it's only right that she tries to tackle the problem. She was not keen to talk about the police probe. I don't know any more about the investigation than anyone else. It's a police investigation. It's ongoing. It's coming to a conclusion, and charges will soon be led. On Ferrier, she said she'd been a very hard-working MP, although there is yet no evidence of this claim. She said it's a sad situation, of course, and there's no denying I was close to Margaret for many years. I've campaigned with her for many years. We all did. However, I haven't spoken to her. See, there you go. That's your friendship, isn't it? Drop her like a hot potato. A woman's going through troubles. You drop her like a hot potato because she's not your friend at all. You're just trying to make that out. You're all in it for yourselves. You're all psychopaths. Loudon said the number one issue facing families is the cost of living crisis. But hang on. Yesterday, we heard how Hamza said there was no cost of living crisis. He said there's not a cost of living crisis. There's a cost of union crisis, he said. So there's not a cost. So why is she talking about this cost of living crisis? She's calling her boss a liar. Anyway, she also claimed there's nothing separating the Tories from Labour. On that one, she's probably right. She said there's very little difference between Tory and Labour policy at the moment. The SNP are the only party that are firmly committed to ending horrible Tory welfare policy like the two-child cap and the R clause. But who's paying? More taxes? Dearie me. We're the only party who are standing up for EU membership. Again, not a good thing. You want independence, and the moment you get independence, you want to become a vassal state, having laws imposed on you without any kind of consultation. It's a weird position to take. Local Labour leader Joe Fagan was suspended for 2 months by an ethics watchdog and letter, and by another party councillor revealed claims of a poisonous atmosphere in the group. But of course there is. It's politics. It's always poisonous. And then we had one the other day. She went as well. She said Monique, wasn't it? Monique went as well. She said, I wasn't surprised by all the contents of your leaked email, which was talking about a culture of bullying, intimidation, and describing the atmosphere as poisonous. So it's exactly like the SNP, where they too have bullying and intimidation and an atmosphere that is poisonous. One only has to look at, Lanarkshire, the South Lanarkshire thing, where it was all there over the Jordan Linden thing. So the same area. It's funny, isn't it? For some reason, Lanarkshire seems to be this hotbed of deceit, of infighting, of nefarious activities, of hate, of spite, and all within the councils. Both the major parties in the council. What is it about Lanarkshire? Who knows? She said, Councillor Fagan leads a very patriarchal top-down fashion, which you might have expected from Labour nearly 30 years ago. And sadly, that hasn't changed. Oh, yeah, got to mention the patriarchy. Down with the patriarchy. She doesn't know what the patriarchy is. Decisions are made at the top and they are rubber stamped. Are we talking about Labour or the SNP here? Because I'm pretty sure that every decision made in the SNP came from Nicola Sturgeon. You can hardly call that a patriarchy. The Scottish Government is consulting plans to hike council tax for people living in properties bands E, F, G and H, but also A, B, C and D. Make no bones about it. Everyone will pay more. Loudon is not hostile to the plan. She said even if these changes were put into place, average council tax in Scotland would still be less than anywhere in the UK. So that is definitely something to note, which is becoming lost in this conversation. Yes, now mention income tax. No, all I'm getting is crickets. Yeah, nothing on income tax. She added, I think there's an imbalance now in terms of council tax bands, and I think the burden has so far fallen too heavily on those who are in lower bands. The SNP are defending a 5,320 majority in the seat, but it will fall undoubtedly to Labour. If Labour don't win this, then I think Labour need to pack up, go home and never show their heads in an election again. It would be such a mad result if Labour failed to win this. But it goes to show she's absolutely out of her depth on just about every policy that she's talking about. She hasn't got a clue. And to invite Nicola Sturgeon onto the doorsteps is madness. But now, if Nicola doesn't come, Nicola is not endorsing her campaign. Oh, what a stupid, stupid woman she truly is. Katy Loudon, thank heavens you're going to lose. People of Rutherglen and Hamilton West need someone who's better than that. I'm coming up. There you go, another moron looking for a nice cosy seat in Parliament. There seems to be a lot of them. But you can't have someone this stupid, this politically naive, running for you, standing representing you. It would be madness. Madness. Where do they get these people? How can you sit there and put someone in a catch-22 position where they can either say yes or no, and regardless of what they say, it's going to be an absolute disaster. It's a lose-lose situation that she's created. And so now, of course, all we have to say is, why isn't Sturgeon backing you? Why isn't Sturgeon giving you her support? Why does Sturgeon not come here and help you? Does Sturgeon think you're a failure? She doesn't want to be involved with you. That's going to be the look now. That's the optic. Unless, of course, Sturgeon does. In which case, boy, will the video cameras following her have an absolute field day. He takes your money. He makes your choice. I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, and I hope you like this video, do please hit that subscribe button. Let's get the channel to grow. Let's get the truth out there. And let's embarrass these people as far as we possibly can. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, people like Katy Loudon really have no chance at all because they are ultimately very, very stupid. Bye.